Hi everyone, my name is Teresa Murphy. Because of McCreature's Chapter 11 discussion around facilitators becoming aware of their beliefs, intentions, and actions, I do think it's important to just start with my positionality. I do see myself as an educator, and I have had a lot of formal and informal experiences teaching between preschool and post-secondary education, but I am preparing to teach my first formal undergraduate course next semester. And so this course has been very timely for me, and I intend to use a lot of the adult learning strategies that I've learned in this class to teach that undergraduate course next semester. Here is my assignment 2, teaching adult learners. I am a graduate assistant in the Office of Graduate Career Development, and I have access to the workshops and programs that we provide. So I chose to teach a session of our professional development program, BEST, or Broadening Experiences in Scientific Training, which is an NIH program that focuses on biomedical science and engineering PhD students. We hold bi-weekly meetings. Our current best cohort is between 15 and 20 PhD students across all years, across a variety of STEM majors, but all of them have an interest in working outside of academia upon graduation. Typically, PhDs in STEM take 5 years to complete their program. And as you can see here, I've included an NSF survey of earned doctorates showing that students who graduate with biomedical or engineering PhDs tend to be slightly younger, but they are still within the age range of what would be considered adult learners. For this particular lesson, we had 11 attendees. The lesson was AI in career preparation, which is something that students requested in a previous meeting. I've included on this slide a number of quotes from our readings that focus on both why AI is a timely topic to be focusing on and why internal motivation of students requesting this particular topic will be more beneficial for student engagement within the lesson itself. The goals or objectives for the lesson were to introduce students to AI tools to support their professional development and their job searches. And the learning outcomes were at the end of the lesson, students will be able to define the ethical use of AI, identify AI tools that they can incorporate into their practice, and demonstrate the use of AI tools to their classmates. It was 30 minutes divided into 3 activities. The first was a discussion on the ethical use of AI, in which students would reflect, talk with their partner, and then engage in a large group discussion. Activity 2 was a demonstration of AI tools where students would come up to the computer and demonstrate the tools that they used. And activity 3 was a written reflection where students would answer the question, what place does AI have in your own career preparation? I approach my role as an instructor really as a facilitator of learning, particularly with a collaborating mindset, which requires co-learners to divide and share the tasks. Collaborating is a particularly good option for this group because it's a group that has formed trust. We meet bi-weekly over a long period of time. This is also a voluntary thing for students who want to focus on their professional development. And I knew that they were going to be willing to take up the responsibility to do some of the demonstration in front of the class. We also focused on dialectic learning, particularly setting up the opportunities for interaction, creating shared meanings, encouraging learners to assume control within the discussion aspect of the lesson, because I did really want to empower students, particularly in AI, because they have as much experience as I have. AI is not something that has been around forever. People are still developing expertise in it, and it is changing so rapidly. For teaching strategies, I really did try and focus on universal design for learning, providing multiple means of engagement and showing their knowledge, from the auditory learners being able to engage in the discussion and thrive there, the opportunity to write a written reflection, and for people who are more kinesthetically focused, doing the demonstrations themselves. I also approach this from a constructivist lens because I do believe that learning is constructed from experiences. This is a voluntary program. I use formative, informal assessments to assess learning throughout. However, for the demonstration in particular, I really wanted to provide students with the opportunity to engage in authentic assessment because AI is a tool that they are going to use in their daily life and in their job searches. And being able to engage in a real world application would be more valuable to them. What worked well about this lesson was that it was responding to a student request for a topic that they believe is relevant to their professional development. That meant that every student was bought in and really wanted to participate, even if some things were not how they would normally feel comfortable participating. Because it's a hot topic, they actually had a discussion that lasted a full 5 minutes longer than I had budgeted for, and it meant that we had less time to demo, which is great. Additionally, we really, because of the setup, we're relying on student expertise because they are using AI in their work, in their lives, as much or more than me and my boss. And so them sharing their own expertise with their classmates was really beneficial. And the collaborating and dialectic learning aspects of the experience really worked well here. They did work so well because of the comfort level of this group. The group that had, built trust, knows that they can go up there, do things that maybe would not always be comfortable with, and know that this is a group that wants to learn and encourage them. I also developed a lot of backup plans because I do believe that facilitation means that I have to be prepared. Luckily, I did not have to use any of them, but I felt prepared to drive the lesson and make sure students got things out of it if the buy-in was not as much, if they were not feeling empowered to do as much presentation. And additionally, the interdisciplinary aspect of AI as a topic is really beneficial to these STEM students because they are very focused on STEM topics all day, every day. And AI is a very interdisciplinary tool. And so exposing them to more of that really does not only encourage them to use their past experiences in different ways than they might normally, but also prepares them to move from the academic field into an industry field. What could have been improved was that this is an informal setting. Students come in and out based on their own schedules. They come in voluntarily. There's a lunch attached to this that sometimes lasts longer. And so it is really important for me as I'm trying to approach something like this to figure out how to keep this flexible, like setup that seemed to work very well for these students, but also not have the flow interrupted every single time someone comes in the middle of a discussion or in the middle of a demo. So making sure that students who arrive are getting the most of it without having to take time from the students who are there and continuously learning. Additionally, it relies on buy-in from students, and it can only work in situations where there is established trust and they are feeling empowered to drive the lesson. One conclusion that I took away from designing and teaching this lesson was that it takes commitment to be a good facilitator. You have to make sure that you design enough so that if things don't work out the way that you want, you have things to follow back on so that students are still getting something out of the lesson. But you also have to be aware of this power dynamic that's going on between you being an adult educator and your students being adults. Additionally, things will never go perfectly, and it's important to be responsive to the situation and the students in it. The things that I chose to do, I chose because I knew the students who I was teaching, and I knew that it would be a productive situation in which all of the students would be involved. references. Thank you for listening.